Now at 9, data and debates on guns. 2 days after a Nashville elementary school shooting that left 6 dead.
Which state is suing 3 well-known companies for being, quote, a harm to mental health and a threat to privacy?
More details about the Senate bill that passed today that could block the Biden administration's U.S. water rule.
People at the Muncie Mall won't be the only ones doing some shopping. Some interesting property being sold at an upcoming sheriff's sale.
Some colder overnight temperatures, plus a chance for severe weather on the way. I'll have all that and more coming up.
Delaware County's only live television newscast from Ball State University's Unified Media Newsroom. You're watching NewsLink Indiana.
Good evening and thanks for being with us. I'm Anna Chalker.
And I'm Mason Trowbridge.
We begin tonight with new developments on the future of the Muncie Mall. The highest bidder in an upcoming sheriff's auction could be the buyer who may revitalize the decades-old shopping center.
NewsLink Indiana's Alex Almanza is live at the Muncie Mall with the latest. Alex?
Yeah, a legal notice published last week advertises the sheriff's sale of the Muncie Mall in about mid-May. The asking price for the 53-acre site, more than $32 million. Going once, going twice. The Muncie Mall is set to be sold at an upcoming sheriff's auction on May 10th. The auction, authorized by a Delaware County judge as part of a judgment against the mall by Wells Fargo Bank for approximately $32 million. The mall's former owner, Washington Prime Group, stopped paying the mortgage on the mall property in 2020, sending it back to the bank before filing for bankruptcy the following year. Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour says the bank is likely ready to sell the shopping center, but could only do so legally through a sheriff's sale. That would put the mall in the bank's name.
In order to do that, they can't sell it. If they had somebody walk in today, if the bank had somebody walk in and say, we want to pay $15 million for the mall, they can't sell it because they don't own it. They have a mortgage on it, which is a $32 million mortgage. Until that goes through the legal steps, which are the publications in the paper and then a legal sheriff's sale, where somebody has to bid at the debt, which is $32 million or higher, the bank can't sell it.
Ridenour, a former banker himself, also saying this is a positive step for the Muncie Mall, citing the need for a new investor.
I would expect that 20 years from now, there'll be something pretty positive there. There could be hotels, there could be more restaurants, there could be housing, along with a group of retail. There's probably some offices as well.
Muncie's Mall, which lost all of its anchor stores in national closings or local pullouts, has been actively on the market for years. Court documents show the mall's manager, the Woodmont Group, said 58% of the mall's space was leased as of January. But several stores had sales of more than $1 million per year, and that included Zales Jewelers, MCL Cafeteria, and Bath & Body Works. Yeah, and there's been some criticism on the mall's revitalization. In an op-ed piece in the Muncie Star-Press, Ball State Associate Professor of Historic Preservation J.P. Hall says, quote, downtown is appropriate because it's the location of most, if not all, of our cultural, civic, and economic energy. We need to double down on it, unquote. Of course, this is in response to Muncie's comprehensive plan that was released in January of 2022. In Muncie, Alex Almanza, NewsLink Indiana.
All right, Alex Almanza live for us at the Muncie Mall. Alex, thank you. Well, transitioning to weather, it was cooler today with a little bit of rain, but we're going to be seeing some severe conditions coming up at the end of the week.
Yeah, seems like we were able to feel some of those warmer temperatures today, then dive into those cooler temperatures, and now some severe weather. Jack, what do you have for us?
Yeah, well, first up, we do have those colder temperatures we have to deal with before we get to that severe weather, which I'll have a little bit later in the show. Taking a look at some of the temperatures around the area right now. 37 degrees here in Muncie, a little warmer down in Indianapolis at just 40 degrees. As we move through the night, we can see that we are sliding into the high 20s here, 28 degrees, and we hit that around 2 in the morning, and looks like we're going to be holding steady at 28 for much of the evening and into tomorrow morning. So what we're tracking on the show tonight, so we do have those cold overnight lows. We do have that chance of severe weather on Friday, and the 70s will return. I'll have all that coming up.
Jack, thank you so much. And in the wake of yet another school shooting that left 3 children and 3 adults dead, a new CNN analysis of CDC data highlights the crisis facing American youth.
Chris Wynn is in Washington looking at the data and the debate over gun control.
Another gun violence tragedy in America. underscoring the findings of a startling new CNN analysis of data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Firearms were the leading cause of death among children and adolescents in 2021 for the second year in a row.
Gun violence in America is simply at unacceptably high levels,
accounting for some 19% of deaths among youth aged 1 to 18. Nearly 3,600 children died in gun-related incidents that year. In no other comparable country are firearms within the top 4 causes of mortality among children, according to a Kaiser Family Foundation analysis.
We have over 350 million firearms in this country, and it's very easy to obtain them.
While polling finds a majority of Americans support the idea of stricter gun laws,
gun owners agree. We have to do something.
a divided Congress means more meaningful legislation is unlikely to move forward.
You want to legislate evil, it's just not going to happen. The laws don't work.
But Nick Saplina of the advocacy organization Every Town for Gun Safety says gun laws do work.
Across the board, states with strong laws have lower rates of gun death, and states with weak laws have the highest rates of gun death.
And says it's incumbent upon lawmakers to treat the issue as a public health crisis.
Until we take meaningful action, comprehensive action on gun safety, guns will remain the leading cause of death for children and teens.
The state of Arkansas is suing 3 social media companies, claiming the platforms are harmful to users' mental health and a threat to privacy. TikTok, its parent company ByteDance, and Meta are all named in the suit. Arkansas says the companies have violated the state's Deceptive Trade Practice Act. The state says some of the features on Meta, such as the like button and photo tagging, are, quote, addictive and intended to manipulate users' brains. The lawsuit also accuses TikTok of misleading users by identifying its app as suitable for teens on the app stores. The lawsuit claims it's not that because it has, quote, an abundant amount of content that includes profanity, substance use, and nudity. They also say the app is a threat to U.S. national security.
Today, the Senate passed a bill that would block a Biden administration rule known as Waters of the United States, or WOTUS. It would overturn an EPA rule that defines passable waters and restore protections put in place by the Clean Waters Act. Opponents say it is too restrictive and places a burden on farmers and the agribusiness. 5 Democrats joined Republicans in the 53-43 vote. The resolution now goes to President Biden, who has threatened to veto it.
8 million of Ukrainians who left the country. There's mostly women and children, and their husbands are in Ukraine. It's more than a year of separation. You can imagine how traumatic it can be, a separation.
In your international headlines, the whole of Ukraine is, quote, traumatized since the Russian invasion started last year. Ukraine's deputy foreign minister told CNN on the Today Show, she said that she thinks that, quote, a long-term process of recovery will be happening after the resolution of the war, but added that at this stage of the war, it is still an existential matter of survival. So we need to survive physically, and after that, we can talk about mental recovery. Approximately 17% of Ukrainian soil is still under occupation, down from what the deputy foreign minister said 20% at the beginning of the invasion.
Local Ciudad Juarez residents expressed their support for 38 people who died in a fire at a migrant center Monday. Authorities said the fire broke out after they picked up and detained a group of migrants from the streets of the border city, which sits across from El Paso, Texas. The fire is one of the worst in recent years in Mexico, which has been dealing with record levels of crossing on its northern border. Signs showed support for migrants and condemnation for migration policies stuck on the fence. A small vigil was held for the victims. Coming up, find out which historical FDA approval was just made today.
Plus, revised recommendations from the CDC on the next round of COVID-19 booster shots. Next.
I love you.
Prescription drug pricing points to corporate
Freedom of the press is about your right to know. It's about your right to be informed. Today, there are real threats to press freedom.
Reaching residential areas
and your right to know about the world around us. We must protect our right to know, no matter what kind of news is important to you. Before it's too late, understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
The central and midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back. The drug overdose deaths continue to hover near record levels. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved for the first time an over-the-counter version of the opioid antidote Narcan. The nasal spray will come in a package of 2 4-milligram doses in case the person overdosing does not respond to the first dose. However, the drug's maker, Emergent Biosolutions, says most overdoses can be reversed with a single dose. The product can be given to anyone, even children and babies. More than 1 million people have died of drug overdoses in the 2 decades since the CDC began collecting that data.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are set to introduce a bipartisan legislation today to bring life-saving equipment and training to respond to sudden cardiac arrest to schools. The Access to AEDs Act would extend access to automated external defibrillators and increase CPR training. It would also enable the creation of cardiac emergency response plans in schools across the country. The American Heart Association has endorsed the bill. The AHA says 1 in 300 youth has an undetected heart condition that puts them at risk.
The World Health Organization's vaccine experts say healthy kids and teens might not need another COVID-19 shot. That's if they're 6 months to 17 years old and considered low risk. The revised recommendations are for WHO's Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization. The group says countries can consider factors like disease burden and cost when deciding whether to suggest doses for that population. With Omicron subdued, it also says families should catch up on routine childhood vaccination. The group warns it could revise its recommendations again if transmission rates change.
A pet in the home could lower the chance of a child developing a food allergy. That's according to a new study published in the journal PLOS ONE. Researchers analyzed data from over 65,000 children in Japan. They found that babies exposed to cats or indoor dogs have about a 16% lower chance of developing food allergies compared with babies in pet-free homes. Kids living with cats are less likely to develop egg, wheat, and soybean allergies, while dog owners are less likely to have egg, milk, and nut allergies.
Yeah, after the break, I'll be talking about the potential for severe weather on Friday, plus those current conditions. All that after the break.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Emotes say a lot, but they can't say it all. Think your guildmate is struggling? Try these dialogue options. beyond emotes. Check in with your guildmates at seizetheawkward.org.
Every day,
Millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles, watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort
We should still make an
to
effort.
get to know each other.
on a deeper level.
Father,
Cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward. Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome back. NASA says the weather is changing on Jupiter and Uranus.
These images from the Hubble Space Telescope show Jupiter's Great Red Spot lives up to that name. NASA says it's a gigantic storm. NASA says it's a gigantic storm that's big enough to swallow Earth, but it's shrinking. The agency said it could regain its size and then some if it merges with a separate string of recently visible storms. As for Uranus, its north pole looks like a large off-white circle. A comparison of photos from 2014 and last year shows that northern cap is getting bigger and brighter.
Now moving on to weather here locally, if we take a step outside right now, current conditions, we do have currently right now it's going to be 37 degrees, but once you factor in those winds out of the north-northeast, we will be sitting at 32 degrees. So if you are headed out tonight, be sure to put on that coat and scarf because it's going to be a little cold out there. Taking a look at current radar though, all is going to be quiet for now. We can see some of the remnants from the showers we did see this afternoon, but that will be subsiding for most of the evening. Now for your forecast for tonight, we do have a pretty cool low of 26 degrees. Will be mostly cloudy. We do have a chance of isolated showers just coming off of the showers that we did see this afternoon. So we will be seeing that for a little bit of the first half of the night here. Now taking a look at some of the temperatures around the area. Here in Muncie it will be 37 degrees. A little colder up in Fort Wayne, sitting at the freezing mark at 32, and then warmer in Indianapolis at 30 degrees there. Taking a look at precision casts now, we can see we will be mostly quiet overnight. However, we do have a chance of a couple flurries early in the morning tomorrow, and that's just because of the colder temperatures there. We could see a couple flakes of snow here and there. Obviously, nothing's going to be accumulating. Just want to tell you that so you're not caught off guard by it. So for tomorrow, timing everything out for you, 8 in the morning, it's going to be pretty cold, 24 degrees there. So do be sure you are all bundled up going to work or school tomorrow morning. However, look at this, warming up to a great high in the mid to high 50s, 55 degrees there at 5 p.m. Our high tomorrow is actually going to be 58 degrees with sunshine. So that is something to be looking forward to as well. Now for Friday, we are tracking some severe weather for there. So right now here in Muncie, we will be under a slight risk of severe weather. So what this means is we could be expecting some damaging winds, some hail, and a possible tornado. We can't completely rule that out. Now by zooming out, we can see a full aspect of this Storm Prediction Center graphic. So here is going to be the enhanced center, and it's quite a large area. And what this means is they are more likely to see those damaging storms than we are. So it's something we need to be keeping an eye on. In Facebook or in Indiana, excuse me, NewsLink Indiana will be updating on Facebook and Twitter throughout all the events on Friday as well. So taking a look at your 7-day, we can see that high of 58 on Thursday with the sun coming out. Storms for Friday should be subsiding by Saturday as well. But if everybody look, next week we're going to be in the high 60s and we're going to hit 70. So that's something to look forward to as well. But, I mean, severe weather is going to be the most important story that we are just keeping up on.
I think we've all been excited about the high temperatures coming up, but like you said, we do need to be prepared for that severe weather. Glad that we know now and that we're able to prepare for that. Jack, thank you so much. And now over to Brendan with sports.
Thanks, guys. One former Cardinal finds a new home, plus we catch up with another Ball State program in the midst of a hot streak. All that and more next in sports.
Here's your sandwich, miss.
Oh, thank you.
And your burger.
Awesome, thank you.
And your bowl of boiling water, sir.
After retiring from the NFL, I've been able to spend a lot more time coaching my daughter's basketball teams. It's something I love to do. Through our games and our tournaments, we see all types of coaching, good and bad. And it begs the question, do we really know who's coaching our kids? Do they have the proper training and screening it would take for me to be comfortable with my daughters playing for that coach? Our Youth Basketball Association made the decision to use trusted coaches to screen and train all of our coaches. I'm a trusted coach. Are you?
So if one cat has 4 kittens who reproduce every 6 months, how many cats will there be in 5 years? Who's got it? Is this... What is that? Seriously? Who threw that?
Cats are terrible at math, but they sure do multiply. Please spay, neuter, and adopt.
The solution is 10. Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Brandon Beeman with sports. Former Ball State men's basketball player Peyton Sparks has officially found a new basketball home. Sparks announced earlier today in a video on his personal Instagram account that he will suit up for the Hoosiers of Indiana University. The rising junior heads to Indiana in the midst of the expected exit of the first-team All-American selection, Trace Jackson Davis. Sparks will look to step into his new role with the Hoosiers in the fall. To head over to the turf, one Ball State club program's preparation this semester pays off as their season is in full swing. NewsLink Indiana's Ryan Siraki visits with the Ball State Ultimate Frisbee squad after it saw its first in-game action this past weekend.
The Ultimate Frisbee season is underway for the Ball State club team. After months of indoor practice, the squad competed in the Old Capitol Open in Iowa this past weekend. The Cardinals picked up 3 hard-earned victories and impressed even themselves.
Really just showed our endurance all the way through. Like, everybody would give 110% on every point, and it really showed that no matter how much we were down in the past, if we had a 2-3 point deficit, it would always exaggerate and we would never be able to close it back in. But this team, we always were fighting back.
This is the best group of throwers and cutters that I've seen just all together. And I mean, that came from just recruiting them, and I just don't think we've seen a better class up until this point.
Despite the early success, the club looks forward to better weather so they can move outdoors and their practices can better simulate in-game scenarios.
We're used to having different conditions, because wind affects our throws so much. And so, this weekend it was pretty windy, so we couldn't do a lot of our deep attacks, which is usually what we're used to on our offense.
Although there may be adjustments to make going forward, one thing this unit doesn't struggle with is team chemistry, as several members of the squad took a trip to the Smoky Mountains together for spring break.
I can't really put into words how much this team means to me and what those guys meant to me. I mean, it takes a lot to be in a confined space with those guys for a whole week. But man, it was great. We went hiking. We got an Airbnb together. Went and threw on the side of the mountain. I mean, it was just beautiful.
The Cards will travel to Champaign, Illinois this weekend to partake in the Illinois Invite, their second tournament of the semester.
I think the energy was really high. I think everyone was really excited to be back on the field again. And so that feeling of being back on the field with some of your friends and your teammates, I think really just has us going and really excited next weekend.
In Muncie, Ryan Siraki, NewsLink Indiana.
With another walk-off win under its belt, NewsLink Indiana's Isaiah Rosner sits down with the Ball State baseball team to discuss their recent success.
The baseball team faced the Southern Indiana Screaming Eagles yesterday, winning 7-6 in an extra innings thriller. After each team scores 2 runs in the 10th inning, Southern Indiana held scoreless in the top of the 11th. C.J. Horn hits a walk-off solo home run to secure the victory for Ball State.
Pretty surreal. Yeah, I got a pitch I can handle. I knew they were going to come in throwing breaking balls, and he left one up, and I got all of it. I knew I caught all of it, but today nothing was really flying to left field, so I had to wait a little bit to do the bat flip. But yeah, once I saw it fly over, it was awesome.
The Cardinals are on a hot streak, having won 9 consecutive games. Head coach Rich Maloney credits the team's fight for the recent success.
So it's a team effort, and I think the other thing is our grittiness. We've been able to come from behind, and we just we do enough of the things well to find ways to win.
One player putting in strong performances recently is first baseman Decker Scheffler. He has scored 6 runs and 3 RBIs in the last 3 games and is hitting just under 400 on the season.
I just think everybody knowing their role, doing their job. I think pitchers are pitching well, hitters are doing well. Even the games where the pitchers give up more runs, the hitters pick them up, and when us hitters are struggling, then the pitchers can keep the other team from scoring a lot of runs and give us a good chance to win.
The team looks to keep the streak alive this weekend as they partake in a 3-game series on the road with conference rival Akron. In Muncie, Isaiah Rosner, NewsLink Indiana.
Well, the baseball team's on an impressive 9-game win streak. Let's hope they can keep it up.
Lucky number 10. Hopefully we can get that going. Brandon, thank you so much. And after the break, we'll have a look at your anchor picks and a final look at weather.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Can you help me?
I got it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Just like the rules to surviving Zombieland, there are steps you can take to be prepared for an emergency.
It's the right thing to do.
Talk with your family to make a plan. Look for safe areas to meet up if separated. And stock up on supplies. It's never too early to get prepared, so start now.
Right now?
Right now. You can't predict emergencies, but you can be ready.
You're welcome, America.
Visit ready.gov today to learn more.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Apple has included 21 new emojis in its latest iOS update. Among them are a jellyfish, a pea pod, ginger, a hair pick, and maracas. That brings the total number available of emojis on Apple devices to more than 3,600. That is way too many. Or for most of us, a few different smiley faces, a pile of poop, and 3,598 others you will never use. I kind of stick to the same about 10, but you know, I like that we're getting some new ones in.
Yeah, I feel like my favorites are always right where they need to be. They're not as cute or fluffy as puppies, but manatees are beloved creatures. And today on Manatee Appreciation Day, we raise awareness about these gentle sea giants. Their special day falls on the last Wednesday of March. Manatees are nicknamed sea cows because they spend about 8 hours a day gazing on seagrass. They have no natural enemy, but they are threatened species because of pollution, climate change, and hunting. Many also end up injured due to collisions with boats and ships in shallow water.
Now over to Jack for a final look at weather.
Yeah, taking one last look at that 7-day, we can see we're going to be close to 60 tomorrow, 58 degrees. But Friday, everybody needs to be weather aware and looking for updates on the severe weather threat that Friday poses there. Looking at the weekend, though, we're going to be in the lower to mid 50s, and come next week, we will be returning to the high 60s and possibly hitting 70s. But with those warmer temperatures, we will also be seeing the return of rain there.
Definitely good to be weather aware right now. Just make sure that you keep up to date with NewsLink Indiana. Jack, thank you so much. That's all tonight for NewsLink Indiana. Be sure to join us again tomorrow night at 9, streaming live on the NewsLink Indiana Facebook page.
And for news anytime, anywhere, go to theballstatedaily.com. Have a great night.